Dear students, this is Dr. Pooja Thakkar, a biology expert. In today's video, I'll discuss regarding the cell, which is the introductory version. Okay, this is the part of a channel called Inside Biology. Kindly like, share, and subscribe the channel. We first need to discuss regarding the basic introduction of the cell. The first terminology here we need to discuss is cytology. Now, cytology is basically the study of or a form of and the structure of the cell. It is mainly associated with the identification or the detailing regarding the composition of cell too. Okay, so cells detailed study is called cytology. The second terminology is a cell. The cell is the structural as well as the functional unit of life. We all know it is performing specific function due to the presence of specific structure. Okay, so each and every kinds of cells, typically if we talk about unicellular organisms like amoeba and paramecium or yeast or bacteria, they are single-celled individual and they perform each and every essential life functions because in them no division of labor is there. While in case of multicellular organism, different kinds of tissues will perform different functions and they have division of labor. Now here we need to undergo little bit regarding the history. So Antony von Leeuwenhoek was the first scientist who saw and described a live cell. Nextly, Robert Brown discovered the nucleus. Then later, the botanist and a zoologist, namely Sheldon and Schwann, in different years, typically proposed a cell theory. Cell theory itself is termed as all living organisms are composed of cells and the products of cell. Now here, what do you mean by products of cell? The proteins which are produced by genes which are present in the cell, right? So protein will be basically termed as a product. Lipids which are formed inside the cell, they are playing a very important role to form membranes. So byproducts of the cell is playing a very important role for the crucial development in the overall organism's structural composition. Fine. So each and every living being is made up of cells as well as their products. And the second important criteria here is each and every cell arises from the pre-existing cells or the previously formed cells. Okay, so these theory has been mainly given by or they are proposed by two scientists, as I've already told, Sheldon and Schwann, but they have been modified by the help of one scientist called Rudolf Virchow in 1855. He played a significant contribution in this. Now, firstly, we are talking about or discussing about a prokaryotic cell. Prokaryotic cell is basically represented by bacteria, blue-green algae, mycoplasma, and PPLO. They have been shown in the diagram very clearly. These bacterial cells may be of various shapes and sizes. They can be rods, the rod shaped individual, they are generally termed as bacillus. They can be spherical in shape, they can be called coccus. They can be comma shaped called vibrio, and they can be spirillum or the spiral shape called spirillum. Different individuals are typically playing a very significant role also in the structural composition. What I mean to say here is these kinds of cocci can also form the diploid structure. Two cocci are united together called diplococci condition, which is most commonly found in Streptococcus pneumoniae, which is a very dangerous thing which can cause a variety of diseases. They can also form a chain, as you can see in the diagram, that is streptococci. The strepto word is given to the chain. So the chain of cocci is called streptococci. Likewise, they can also form a bunch or a group which is called staphylococci. Likewise, 4 cocci will club together and form a club-like or cube-shaped structure called tetrad. Likewise, two tetrads are combined together to form 8-cell stage called sarcina. So these are the varieties of structures or the structural composition the cell can make. Okay, and these kind of chain or a group can also be found in bacilli, right? So they can be called streptobacilli or staphylobacilli as per the type. Fine. Now, the shapes and the size of cells varies very greatly as per their position where they are actually present in the organism as well as their function. We'll see that in detail. Now, in the last slide, we have discussed regarding mycoplasma, right? So, mycoplasma are basically the smallest cell till date found, whereas the largest isolated cell is the ostrich's egg. The shape of the cell may be cuboidal, as we have seen earlier. It can be cuboidal, it can be columnar, it can be polygonal or a thread-like or asymmetric, or it can be irregular. Asymmetric and irregular is the common thing. Fine. So they can be of various shapes and sizes. Now, genetic material is also present in the prokaryotic cell, which is naked. The speciality here is the plasmid DNA, which is the extra chromosomal double-stranded circular DNA molecule. Here in the diagram, you will be able to see a single boundary, but they are actually double-stranded in nature. They might bear varieties of structural genes in them. There might be varieties of restriction sites. There might be a small promoter over there, which is mandatory for the gene expression. Likewise, they are having the antibiotic resistant genes. All these things we will discuss in further classes in very detail, that why these kinds of restriction sites as well as antibiotic resistant genes are important. Cell organelles like typically mitochondria, Golgi bodies are basically absent in prokaryotes, right? Now, one more speciality of prokaryote we have to discuss here, that is a mesosome. Mesosome, as you can see in the diagram, that is the extra membrane, or you can say the infolding of your plasma membrane, which is the most common structure in the prokaryotic individual. This is the specialized structure, and this is also serving as a characteristic in the prokaryotes. Now, how the structures are playing a role? They are helping in cell wall formation, typically the outermost boundary. They're also helping in DNA replication, that is the duplication of genetic material and distribution of those genetic material into daughter cells. I mean, two daughter cells will be having the exact same copies of the DNA by the help of mesosome. They can also provide the extra surface area of the membrane so that more and more respiration can be performed by using that extra surface. They can also help in forming varieties of vesicles. Likewise, they are helping in secretion process. And these kind of mesosomal structures sometimes have or they bear pigments in them, so they'll be called chromatophores. They are imparting specific color in the case of cyanobacteria. Now, the other speciality in the bacterial cell is to form a complex structure called complex cell envelope. Okay, so basically if we talk about the overall boundary of the bacteria, which is of three kinds. The innermost will be considered as the cell membrane, which is the very basic one. The next coating on the external side I'm talking about, the middle one coating is called the cell wall, and the exactly outermost coating will be considered as glycocalyx, or it can be a slime layer. Now, glycocalyx and slime layer are the property of bacteria which has been created in certain unfavorable situation. Okay, and typically glycocalyx is a loose sheath like structure in some bacteria, but glycocalyx may be working as a loose sheath like structure, which can be called then a slime layer. Otherwise, glycocalyx is a jelly-like or jelly-based material. If it is little bit fluidy, then it will form a loose sheath called slime layer, right? So glycocalyx may be thick or tough in the form of capsule, or it can be thin or loose in the form of slime layer. So overall structure, the outermost structure is called glycocalyx. Why the word is glyco is given here? As it is sugar rich coating on the external boundary, on the external side of the cell wall, to have the cell to cell interaction, as well as tissue formation, as well as attachment of that cell to the particular substrate. Varieties of function that sugar can perform. Okay, so glycocalyx is the outermost. Into that you are having cell wall. Into that you are having cell membrane, or it can also be called plasma membrane. Fine. So this is the outermost envelope. You can say the cell envelope detail. Fine. The next point here we need to discuss is regarding motility of the bacteria. Now, motile bacterial cell may bear varieties of structures. Typically, they bear flagella, which is composed of 3 structures. Here in this diagram, you will be able to notice flagellum, but not the detailed structures. Flagella is basically made up of 3 things. A basal body, which is a motor-like structure. The second is the hook, which is there in the motor, and into that hook the external structure is called the filament, the long filamental structure. So long filamental structure is filament basically, or thread like structure, which is attached to the bacteria by using a hook, and that hook is getting fixed in the motor or the basal body, by which the flagella can rotate in the clockwise manner to make the bacteria forwardly movement, and sometimes it is moving anti-clockwise to have the bacteria in the reverse direction or the backward direction. So by rotating the flagella, the bacteria can move forward or reverse. The other 2 kinds of structures are called pili and fimbriae. They are also the surface extensions or the surface structures which are helping the bacteria to attach with the host and the other substrates. Pili, as you can see, they are comparatively longer, comparatively stickier. They are made up of pilin proteins, and they are mainly playing a very important role during the sexual reproduction of the bacteria by the process called conjugation. And fimbriae, as you can see, they are the hair-like extensions on the cell. They are typically helping in the adherence process of the bacteria to any of the surfaces. Okay, now typically present RNA plus protein based material called ribosomes in the prokaryotes. These kinds of ribosomal structures are basically made up of 2 subunits. One is very small and one is very large, as you can see in the diagram. Typically, there are 2 kinds of ribosomes. One is 70S and the other one is 80S. 80S is more commonly found in eukaryotes, while 70S is more commonly found in prokaryotes. These ribosomes are a very complex structure which are basically made from the RNA as well as the protein material. In the second diagram, you will be able to notice this ribosomes, which is a green colored structure, a very big structure which is attached with the mRNA molecule, which has been just formed from the DNA sequence. So basically what we need to understand in this diagram is how the protein is formed. Now see, as you all know, DNA is a very important molecule which is present in the nucleus or in a cell, which contains the genetic information or the information which is required by a cell to perform varieties of functions. So that information of a double-stranded DNA has been transferred into the single-stranded structure called messenger RNA. So the message is now in the form of single-stranded structure called mRNA. That mRNA's message has been read by these ribosomes to create amino acid sequence, which in terms called a protein. Fine. So in a way you will be able to say ribosomes are the main site for the protein synthesis. And here you will be able to notice a single ribosome which is attached to the mRNA in case of prokaryotes. While in case of eukaryotes, what you will find, a very long and a lengthy polymer called mRNA is there, which has to read by many ribosomes together. So you will find a long strand of mRNA which is attached to multiple ribosome at a time to read the message very fastly. Those structures are called polyribosome or polysome. Now sometimes few kinds of reserved materials are also present in the prokaryotic cells. Those structures are called inclusion bodies. These kinds of bodies will typically contain varieties of reserved bodies, reserved material in them called phosphates or glycogen or some kind of pigments. So the kind of material that they store, as per that the granules name will be different or the inclusion body's name will be differ. That is phosphate granules, glycogen granules or cyanophasian granules. As you can see in the diagram, they can store multiple things in them. Okay, now the next diagram is you can see is a typical blue-green algal cells diagram, into which you will be able to notice the empty structures called gas vacuoles. So this is the speciality of blue and green alga, and sometimes they'll also store pigments in the vacuoles. So this is the speciality of any kind of cell which can store the nutrient moieties or the nutrient materials in them or the waste material in them for the temporary basis, and then they'll excrete them out as per the need. Now the next thing is bacterial cell wall. Here I'm not going in very detail, but what I need to make you understand is the bacterial cell wall is basically made up of peptidoglycan layer. As you can see in the diagram, the blue colored structure, which is super thick in case of gram-positive organisms and which is comparatively thinner in case of gram-negative individuals. Okay, because gram-negative individuals will be having the extra coating on the peptidoglycan, which is called lipopolysaccharide or LPS layer. Okay, and below that you will find the normal cell membrane, as you can see in each and every cell's case. Fine. Now here I am not going in detail regarding gram positive and gram negative bacteria. I'll make a separate video for that how you can get a difference in your microscopic analysis in gram positive and gram negative bacteria, how their cell walls are differing to each other. Okay, so here what we need to understand is the basic functions of the cell wall. As we all know, cell wall is the outermost coating of the cell membrane. So it is typically giving the shape of the cell. It is also giving or providing the protection to any kind of mechanical damage or any kind of infection to the cell. It is also playing a typical or the important role in cell-to-cell interaction, as well as it will not allow the undesirable molecule to come in the cell. So it will be a protective barrier by which the nutrient molecules from the cell cannot go out and the waste material outside the cell cannot come in. Okay, so it is the kind of barrier which will allow the selected stuff or material to come in and out the cell. As I have already discussed, I'll discuss in the video regarding gram positive and negative bacteria that how you can undergo or how you can go for gram staining process to differentiate between the gram positive as well as gram negative cell. But here this point you have to remember, that is gram positive cell after the staining it will look like violet or blue in color, and gram negative cells are typically showing pink or red color during the microscopic analysis. So by the color difference you can differentiate between both the kinds of organism, either they are gram positive or gram negative. Okay. And in last I'll like to discuss a bit of eukaryotic cell. Eukaryotic cells are typically present in protista, plants, animals and fungus. As we all know, they are the modified or the advanced version. Cytoplasm is basically divided into compartments because few compartments like organelles are present, membrane bound organelles are there. They are serving as different compartments or the zones into which the different tasks or activities have been performed. For example, you can say a typical well organized nucleus with the nuclear membrane into which the genetic material is present, and that genetic material is basically arranged in the form of chromosomes, and those chromosomes are playing a tremendous role or a very specified role in protein formations, by which we can do the physiological actions in our body. Okay, so this is the basic information regarding eukaryotic cell. As in coming videos, I'll go on each and every topic, each and every organelle of the cell in detail. So here I'm not discussing that. Now I'll just give the basic regarding plant and animal cell, that plant cells are typically having a cell wall which is absent in case of animal cells. They are also having plastids which are not at all present in animals. They are having a very large central vacuole in compared to animal cells. That is a super big thing which can store varieties of nutrients as well as the waste material in them or a water. And the outermost boundary of the vacuole is termed tonoplast, which is also exactly similar in the working with plasma membrane, and they'll both do the specificity task. They'll allow specific molecule to come in the vacuole and specific molecules to go out of the vacuole, and they are also playing a very important role in maintenance of the osmotic balance of the cell, that is to provide turgidity in plant cell. Okay, so I'll go in detail in that video. Now animal cells, as we know, they are having centrioles. Centrioles are the structures which are responsible for microtubule production. You will be able to see the details of these organelles in future in this particular chapter, as well as in the 10th chapter, in which we will discuss regarding cell division and that is mitosis and meiosis. Okay, so these kinds of centrioles are not at all required in plant cells. And in the last slide, I'm showing the diagram which is from BYJU'S. This is a very interesting diagram and very colorful diagram, so you will be able to see the differences which are present in the plant and animal cell, as well as the similarities are there in plant and animal cells. So you have to list it out and discuss in the class. Okay, so typically the basic differences, as we have discussed already, that is the biggest or bigger size vacuole is present in plant, which is absent in animal. The cell wall is present in plant cell, which is absent in animal. Likewise, you're having some kind of structures like plastids typically there in the plant cell, which are absent in animal cell. So likewise, you have to see each and every organelle in detail, and you have to make a list regarding the differences as well as the similarities present in both the cells. So kindly look at the diagram very carefully and notice the things. Thank you very much. Kindly like the video and do subscribe the channel.